Hi and welcome along to AFTV, welcome along to News Daily. I'm joined today by my brother, Laurie's in the building.
How you doing, man?
So you know it's going to be spicy. No, I'm good, man, I'm good. Been trying to catch up on some sleep today because of the transfer window.
It's been hectic.
All summer, you know, waking up every morning to do the transfer show. Didn't have to do that today. And then, of course, we were here on a real marathon last night, all the way up until 11 o'clock, hoping that we could bring in the signing of Douglas Luiz, and it didn't happen.
I was left with quite say empty feeling, but you know what I mean, my expectation was that we would do some business. In the end, we did no business, which I have to say was disappointing.
No business on the day.
No business on the day, yeah, that's correct, yeah. Which was, I have to say, there was a palpable sense of disappointment in the room, and I think that's been reflected across the fan base this morning. I'm seeing on Twitter, some people were even went a bit further than that, didn't they?
I think some people were getting a bit ridiculous, by the way. You know what I mean?
It's the passion, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Listen, for me, it was a good transfer window, but we didn't finish it off.
No,
that's how I view it. The signings in the transfer window have been good. We've seen, they've all fitted. The only one we haven't seen really is Fabio Vieira, because he's not been able to play. Even the signing of Marquinhos, he was brought in, you know, we were told probably to be loaned straight out and he's impressed so much that now he's part of the first team setup. So straight away he's done well and he's hitting the ground running. But we didn't finish it off. And
let me ask you a question, yeah? So last night on the DR watch along, shout out to all the people who took part in that, I was asked what mark we would give to Arsenal for all the teams, but Arsenal in particular, out of 10 in terms of the performance in the transfer or lack of performance, but no, performance in the window. So what would you give it out of 10?
I give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it a 7.
I would have given it an 8 out of 10. How do we have rounded it? Or maybe possibly even, well, no, it would have been an 8 out of 10 because we would have got Douglas Luiz in. It would still have fallen even short still for me because I still think we should have got a winger in. I would have liked to have seen like a Pedro Neto or somebody like that come in. So it would still have fallen short for me. But I give it a 7. Jesus, probably going to be one of the signings of the summer. When you think of the amount of money that's been paid for certain players. I look at the Anthony thing, £86 million. And we got Jesus, full Brazil international, established Premier League player for 45 million. That's great. Absolute business, steal, I think. Fabio Vieira sounds, looks an exciting signing. We want to see him, obviously. Zinchenko, great signing, although he's injured. But great signing.
Would you not say that the 7 out of 10 you gave, which incidentally is what I gave, is largely dominated by Jesus and Zinchenko?
And Zinchenko, yeah. And, and we're yet to see Fabio Vieira. So, but those two signings were so good, and have made such a difference to the Arsenal team. And, there's a signing that's like a new signing in Saliba as well. That doesn't count as a signing, but because he's coming, he seems like a new signing as well. So it was positive, but we just didn't finish it off. And it was a bit... I was a bit gutted that we didn't, but if Aston Villa turn around and say, listen, we are not selling him, what can we do?
But do you not come to the inescapable feeling that this could come back to bite us on the bum?
Well, 100%. And, already, we're going to talk about it today. There's injury doubts already.
And I think that's why some of the fan base may have reacted adversely in that way, because they're thinking, come on, we got injuries, we were short in certain positions anyway. This was an opportunity to maybe plug that gap, and you've not done it for whatever reason, but we've still not done it. This may come back to bite us later on.
We've gone from the start of the season where, when you looked at the squad, you're like, woof, looking decent, right? Now, Zinchenko is out, right? We're going to talk about that in a bit, but Zinchenko's out, confirmed by the manager today. He will not figure in that Manchester United game. He's definitely out, right? No Thomas Partey, he's out.
2 significant losses.
El Neni out for a long period of time. We're not going to see El Neni for months.
Also significant.
Right? And now there's doubts over Odegaard and Ramsdale as well for the game. So all of a sudden now, and these are key players missing. All of a sudden, you know, I mean,
the garden is not so rosy.
It's not so rosy again. I mean, let me get into, because, you know, Mikel Arteta gave a press conference today where he spoke about a lot of these things. And let me get into some of those. On Ramsdale and Odegaard's fitness, he says those two are being assessed. We will see tomorrow. Hopefully they'll be able to train with the team. That means they haven't trained yet. Unfortunately, with Alex Zinchenko, but he meant Zinchenko when he said that, that's still not the case. He missed 2 games and has not been able to train with the team yet. He's going to be missing. So those are big. 3 players there, 3 huge players.
Couldn't have come at a worse time, really.
2 of them are doubt, and Zinchenko would have been a very important player in that game. He's out of the game.
Couldn't have come at a worse time. You're going to a resurgent Man United, yeah? And that's always a difficult fixture, regardless of the state of play with injuries. And, you know, like I said, they're resurgent. We're away from home. Our record there is not great. This year, we've managed to assemble a very good team. And then, lo and behold, a few days before the game, we're struck down with injuries, as you quite rightly pointed out, significant players. Doesn't bode well. I think the Odegaard one, I don't know. Are these soft tissue issues or muscle?
Well, remember, at the end of the game, in the game, not even at the end of the game, probably about 15 minutes before the end, Odegaard limped off.
Yeah, it was ankle, wasn't it? His ankle
he looked like he got a knock, then he kicked the ball out of play, and then he came off, right? And then remember, Ramsdale went down in the game holding what looked like might be his hamstring.
Those ones were always worse.
Yeah, he carried on, he played till the end of the game, but again, he looked injured.
Did.
It's not great, because we're going into this game against, like you said, a resurgent Manchester United. You want all your best players fully fit.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, we've got a bit of an injury crisis, because, you know, if those 2 are out, those are big misses.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think the injury to El Neni, whilst it's not welcome in any way, shape or form, I do think we have cover in that position. I do think that Sambi Lokonga, who came in, had a very good game. I was looking at some of his post-match stats. It was very encouraging. I think something like 95% completed pass rate, 100% of ground duels won. And he had a very good game. Some people were questioning him, but he stepped up that day. Obviously, going to United is another challenge again.
It's a different challenge.
Yeah, it's a totally different challenge.
They did do well.
So I'm not that concerned about that position so much. However, Odegaard will be a big miss, and I think Ramsdale, that would be an even bigger miss, with respect.
That would be a huge miss.
I just hope that he's going to be fit, man. I mean,
it's a worry.
Like you, I saw when he went down and he appeared to be clutching at his hamstring there, and straight away I'm thinking, if it's a hamstring thing, I don't think he's going to be ready for Sunday. However, there are grades of hamstring tears and injuries. So we just got to hope it's not one of the more serious ones.
On Thomas Partey and Mohamed El Neni, this is what he said as well in his press conference. He says Thomas Partey and Mohamed El Neni are also out of the game. Actually, no, he didn't see this, but this is what they've reported on Arsenal's website, with the boss revealing potential timeframes for the midfield pair. And this is what he said. Mikel Arteta, he said, with Mohamed El Neni, of course, it's probably a little bit easier. We're talking months.
Wow.
That's how long he's going to be out. He said, with Thomas, hopefully we're talking weeks or even shorter than that, I hope.
That seems to be a recurring calf injury.
And it's in the same position as he has. So, you know, these are... And you just start to think to yourself, should we even then... I know we didn't want to pay over the... listen, we don't know the full situation with Villa. The rumour is that they were like, he's not for sale at no price. But let's say, for instance, should we, with these sort of injuries occurring, have said, right, you know what, Villa, we're going to go mental, just give you 30 million, give him.
You know what, I would have been inclined to do that. And I'll tell you why. Because, listen, at the moment, We're doing very, very well. 100% record, 5 games, 5 wins. The mood in the camp is very high at the moment. The vibes are great. Everyone's rallying around the team, and you want to keep that momentum going for as long as humanly possible. There was an opportunity to strengthen the squad, or at least get somebody in that would cover the injuries, and for whatever reason we haven't done so. Now, if it's because of a few million that we wouldn't, escalate the Douglas Luiz bid for, I must admit I'll be slightly disappointed with that. If it's a case that Villa flat out would not sell the guy, then there's not too much you can do about it, unless you throw ridiculous sums of money at him. But if we're talking about 3, 4, 5 million, I would have said, listen, man, if you want the guy, sometimes you've got to pay a bit over the odds for it.
Yeah. He was asked whether he's disappointed he didn't sign a midfielder in his press conference. He replied, no, we had a lot of things still to do in the squad. You see the amount of departures compared to the number of players that we recruited. The club has done a phenomenal job and put everything on the table to try and bring in players and the profile that we wanted. We did business pretty early, but unfortunately in the past 72 hours, Thomas Partey got injured in the same place as last time, and then El Neni has a long-term injury. Then we had to react in the market, and we tried. But at the end of the day, we have to bring in the player that we feel is right for the team and for the club, and we didn't manage to do that.
You know what? What I take from that is club speech, innit? Really? Yeah. I don't really take too much from that. I know, I don't know him, but I would bet huge sums that deep down he was very disappointed at the fact that we weren't able to bring in a player yesterday, especially Luiz, who it appeared that the club had made a concerted effort to get. Personally, I would have wanted them to bring in Tielemans as well. I like Tielemans. I think he's a good player, Belgian international, Premier League, battle-tested and ready. Apparently wanted to come to Arsenal, which makes a difference. And I think he would have been perfect in our midfield. Quality player, as I said, would seem to fit, tick all the boxes. I don't quite know. It seemed like our interest waned somewhat, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked like... Well,
he's not a bad player overnight.
It's looking to me like Arsenal said to themselves, you know what, we'll wait on Tielemans. Leicester were talking about 30, 35 million pounds. Arsenal like, we'll wait. Get him in January for like less than half of that. We even patient enough to wait until next year to get him. But they definitely wanted to bring in a defensive midfielder, hence why they put 3 different bids in yesterday for Douglas Luiz. Just the interesting thing, we'll never know, would be if they put in more than the 25 million, if they'd have put in 30, could they have got him? Or was it just that Villa was saying that they are not going to sell him? I heard Jim White saying yesterday on the radio that he's got a contact with him, Villa. He said it's very early in the morning that they're saying if not for any price, they're going to sell him. But then, I don't know, when somebody puts in 3 bids, that seems like there's some wriggle room in there, isn't it? But
absolutely. And you also got to remember that I think it's common knowledge that Douglas Luiz did want to come to Arsenal.
He wanted to come.
As you said quite rightly, we put in 3 bids. Now, the way I look at it is this. If you go to Westfield or wherever the shopping centre is and you see a nice pair of shoes, and you see the price, you think, oh, that's a bit pricey, man. But you really want the shoes. 9 times out of 10, what would you do? You'd find that extra bit of money and say, you know what, even if I've got to cut back on my household budget elsewhere. No, this is just like, what I mean?
What if the person who's selling, you go and see a pair of shoes that you want, and you see someone and you say, I love those shoes, man, I'll buy them off you. And I'll give you 50 quid. He goes, no. You say, I'll give you 75. He says, no, I'll give you 100. He says, no, mate, I don't want to sell them. Then what?
Yeah, that might have been the case.
We don't know,
it's very difficult for us to speculate. But if it was a case that if we'd have put up a couple more million, it might have turned the tables in our favour. If I find that is the case, then I'll be disappointed in that. Because that shows me that you didn't really want the player as much as you said you did.
Yeah. Anthony 1993 says, stop complaining. Villa didn't want to sell. Like Arteta said, why panic and buy and do a Chelsea or United and then struggle to get rid of players like before? That's a good point.
I don't think it's a case of panicking. The way I look at it is like this. In any institution, any sporting context, You build from a position of strength. You don't wait until things, subside to levels where you have to do it.
Yeah, but you don't go buy any old person.
No, but what I'm saying is it's not any old guy. We know that they wanted Luiz. They wanted Douglas Luiz. 3 bids for it.
They wanted Douglas Luiz. They wanted Danilo from Palmeiras. Couldn't get him. They weren't willing to sell. Right? Remember, this is some situation that's propped up with it. All of a sudden, he's saying it there within 72 hours. They're desperate now to bring in a defensive midfielder, but not anybody. There's loads of defensive midfielders out there. You can go and get someone from the Championship, but they don't want anyone. They want someone of top quality. They then turn their attentions to Douglas Luiz. Villa refused to sell. Then what do? Do you panic, or do you just say, right, we've got Sambi Lokonga who did all right, like you said at the start of the show, in that position. Thomas Partey is going to be back. He's saying, according to Mikel Arteta's quotes, in weeks. So it could be by the end of September he might be fit and ready. So do you say, right, well, you know what, we're just going to have to wait it out and see, or do you panic and say, no, we can't wait, let's just go and buy such and such defensive midfielder who you know is not really going to fit the team, who you know is not going to figure long terms, not really going to be part of the long term. You know what I mean? It's all those things.
I see that. However, like a lot of things in football, time will tell and results will prevail over everything. So the way I see this going, if in the next couple of weeks we maintain our good form and we get the results we want, then it won't be too much of a big deal made of it. However, if we lose a couple of games, I think you'll find that the narrative will switch quite dramatically.
We lose to United this weekend, straight away, fans will be like, why didn't we?
Yeah.
Owen Campbell says, Robbie, personally, I'm shocked to see that you're worried about the injuries. Just yesterday, you had was that Silic? About the depth that we have. Now, listen, of course, I was talking yesterday about the depth that we've got in the team. Of course we got depth, right? And, if Martin Odegaard's out...
No, he does make a good point, though. If you said we got depth,
what are you worried about? We got depth. We've got depth, right? So then I looked at every position in the team and I explained at the moment what the depth was. And the only area where there was a bit of a lack of depth was that defensive midfielder position, which they were trying to address yesterday.
What about the goalkeeping?
Right? We've got a backup goalkeeper.
Yeah, but how good is he?
We don't know. Do you know? Does anybody know?
No,
they've not really seen.
We're about to find out.
They've not seen the guy play in a sustained period. He's an American international. He plays for the national team. They've scouted him. They've brought him in. We're yet to see. But
word on the street is he didn't overly impress in pre-season.
Yeah, but it's pre-season.
No, I hear you. But, I'm just playing devil's advocate. But word on the street is
what's the backup goalkeeper for Chelsea? You know what I mean? What's the backup? We saw the backup keeper even coming from Man City. That's Stefan last year and weren't great. Backup goalkeeper for Liverpool. They're never as good as the guy that's there, innit?
Yeah. I think what we can all agree on, right? All of us, me, you, and everybody out there watching, everybody that watches football on a regular basis, is that, let's face it, first teams do not win titles and cups and championships.
You need a good squad.
You need a good squad. Now, the problem is, what is the level of drop-off?
Yeah. So I went through, listen, so have a listen to this, right? I went through this yesterday, so back for you again, Owen, right? So I said, goalkeeper is obviously Turner. That is a drop-off, we know, because Ramsdale outstanding. But already in football that your backup goalkeeper is never going to be as good. We were lucky last year to have Leno, but
I was going to say we let Leno go.
Leno's so good; he's going to want to play first team football. It's very rare you see two keepers of the same level in a team.
That's true,
right? Right back, you've got Ben White, Tomiyasu, and Cedric. 3 people who can play in that position. Centre back, you've got Saliba, Gabriel. You've got Ben White, who can play in that position. You've also got Tomiyasu, who can play as a centre-back. And you've got Rob Holding.
So those positions are covered.
So they're covered. Hold on. Left back, you've got Kieran Tierney and Zinchenko. Right? Now, the problem here. First of all, this one in the midfield is you've got... And remember, you normally have 2 players per position. Sure. 2 quality players, right? Partey, the backup has been Mohamed El Neni. But they're both injured, and that doesn't normally happen. But you've got Sambi Lokonga who can also come in there as well, and possibly Xhaka, right? So that's that position. right? Then the other midfield positions, you've got Xhaka, but you've got Sambi Lokonga. That both of them can play box to box. You can even got Zinchenko who could play as a box to box. You've got Odegaard who can play, obviously Odegaard as your number 10, but Zinchenko can play as a number 10 as well. Fabio Vieira can play there. Emil Smith-Rowe can play there. Up the front, you've got Martinelli, but you can put Smith-Rowe there who could play in that position. Smith-Rowe could also play on the right as well. So can Vieira to back up Saka. And down the middle, again, this is one little area. We've got Jesus and we've got Eddie and Nketiah. I would like to see, and I said this yesterday, a different type of player. But I think when you compare that to last season, that is quite a good squad. Last season, we had games where the whole bench were kids. Amari Hutchinson, Swanson, Charlie Patino, and none of them played. So yeah. I think there is depth there, but where we in a bit of a crisis here is that we're missing Thomas Partey, and then also when it comes to depth, with any team, if you're missing key players, we've seen Liverpool so far this season struggle because they've been missing some of their key guys, right? So they've been at the moment they're missing Henderson. They're missing, what's his name, Thiago, and they've got players to cover that. But those guys are so good.
Let me rewind. In your assessment there, you used the word crisis. Yeah. Now.
But I'm just saying because you've got, at the moment, Zinchenko, it's a lot of injuries. There's an unusual amount of injuries. You've got, for what could possibly be the worst case scenario, for the weekend, we could be missing Thomas Partey, Mohamed Elneny, Zinchenko, Aaron Ramsdale, and Martin Odegaard. Okay. That's 5, I'd say 4 nailed-on first-team players. That's not great. Of course, there's players to come in. Lokonga came in the other day.
I'm going to pull you up. I'm going to take it to task. A few minutes ago, in your assessment, you used the word crisis. Now, what do you do in a crisis? You take emergency action.
Yeah, which is what they tried to do.
Hold on. So that should have been what they did yesterday. They tried, but they failed. And I would say that you said it as well. It would appear that the interest in Tielemans waned. Now, if you're in a crisis and you could have signed someone like Tielemans, I wouldn't even regard that as a panic buy. The guy's a very good player.
He's not a defensive midfielder, though, is he? The crisis area at the moment
is midfield.
The crisis area at the moment is defensive. That's a particular position, defensive midfield. That is where there's a problem at the moment because of the injuries to Thomas Partey and also the injury to Mohamed Elneny. Those are the 2 specialists in that area. So that's why they were trying to get Douglas Luiz in, because he's a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, but what I'm saying...
Right, so that's we got to remember that. We got to remember the particular position they were trying to address yesterday. It wasn't just any old... Because if he's just a midfielder, we've got loads of midfielders who could play there. Sorry, let's get back into...
I just think
there's a lot of super chats coming through.
I wouldn't regard Tielemans as a panic buy. I think he's a Belgian international.
No, listen, I wanted us to sign Tielemans as well.
Who has attributes and abilities that would enhance Arsenal. I don't think there's anyone out there that would... there has been a question mark. I've heard some fans talking about it as well, against his attitude.
I think his attitude would have been fine.
Yeah, and not only that, he clearly wants to leave Leicester, so that's not really a realistic reflection on the player. I think we should have gone out to get him.
All right. Wayne Mayer says, when you lose, don't bring up injuries. Obviously, a United fan. Miles Smith says, Robbie, we actually put in 4 bids yesterday. 3 for Douglas Luiz and 1 for Danilo. It's clear we wanted a defensive midfielder. Should have acted sooner. But as I said, Arteta's saying they had a crisis emerge within 72 hours ago and they had to act. So it's like, 3 days ago they got that news. They're trying to move for a player like a Danilo who'd be perfect. And lots of rumours is that Arsenal could get him in January. But a team like Palmeiras, with all the things they're challenging for right now in Brazil, don't want to sell.
No, I accept the fact it's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult.
But having said that, like I said...
Had these injuries happened a couple of weeks ago and they hadn't brought anybody in, then I'd understand it more. But, it is a tight you know.
But I seem to remember we were faced in a similar position last year. We went into a transfer window, should have strengthened, we didn't, and you saw what happened.
Last year, I think that was a worse situation because I felt, and I said this yesterday, that January one, when we let Aubameyang go, we had literally the whole of January to bring a striker in, and we didn't do it. And that's why I was upset with that one.
And this is what some of the fans are saying. We've not learnt from that situation.
But with this one, though, I think it's a little bit different because of the time frame. They literally thought they were covered in those areas with El Neni and Partey, and then all of a sudden they're both out looking like, especially in the case of El Neni, long term, he said months out. So they're having to try and move quick, but they're, like Arteta says, he's looking at it, he's saying, I don't want to just, even though I need this player, I don't want to just bring in any and anyone.
But you know what it is?
I want to bring in a quality player that's going to be here for the next 3-4 years.
Absolutely. But you know what it is? And some people may regard this as slightly controversial, but this is something I've been saying now for a while, and I'm going to reiterate this. I don't think the drop-off between El Neni and Sambi Lokonga, I think, if anything, I would rate Sambi Lokonga as a better footballer than El Neni.
Well, he played well the other night.
Yeah, I mean, El Neni's, don't get me wrong, he's a good player, he's a squad player, he's experienced, he's a, you know what I mean, he's a good all-round player. But talent for talent, I think Lokonga, listen, and not only that, his ceiling is way higher than...
and he's going to be a quality player. But I still think...
I've got no problem in putting him in.
I think he's a box-to-box midfielder, though, rather than a defensive midfielder. And
but he did a job the other day.
He played, and he's going to have to do a job on Sunday. And he's going to have to do a job next week, and the week after that, and the week after that.
But you know what I like about Lokonga? He's been holding his hand up, apparently, behind the scenes, saying, look, I want more game time.
But we saw that All or Nothing documentary. You know, where he said he wants to play more. So
no, but I like that. To me, that shows hunger, that shows desire, that shows determination, and that shows, above all, that he believes he can step up to this level. So if you've got him... I remember when Sambi Lokonga came. I'm sure you remember this as well. And I think it was Vincent Kompany was asked, because he'd been at Anderlecht, and he was asked to give his opinions on the player. And he was like...
glowing,
really, like,
said he was
waxing lyrical.
He's new Yaya Toure, isn't it?
Well, you know what I mean? And listen, a guy like Vincent Kompany, okay, I know he would work with a player, so there is going to be a certain element of bias there. But to the way he was talking, I came away from that thinking, a guy like Vincent Kompany is not going to put his reputation on the line, is he? And wax lyrical about a guy that's not that good. So I kind of thought to myself straight away, you know what? There is probably something in this guy.
I think this guy's going to prove himself this season, and now he's been thrown in the deep end, and let's see what he does. VJ says outgoings might not have reached the required target value in terms of money to get in more new incomings. That might be the long-term plan to get others. Dave Jordan says Arteta out. He said we need a manager with a crystal ball who can predict injuries in the same position 48 hours before the end of the transfer window. Get real, Laurie. He's been very he's being very sarcastic there.
No, but listen, all I'm saying is that yes, you cannot predict injuries. Yes, he was put in a very difficult situation. However, he had an opportunity to address that in the transfer window. He did not do that. Now, as you speculated, Robbie, is it because Villa has said we're not letting Douglas Luiz go at any cost? However, I also heard Steven Gerrard, in the lead up to the Arsenal game, he was asked about Doug Luiz. He said, we don't want to let him go, and he sort of shrugged his shoulder. So that doesn't sound like somebody that says he's not going at any cost to me.
The talk all day coming out of Villa is that we are not selling
No, they're
Douglas
not going to say
Luiz.
we're going to sell him.
Now, we don't know if it was a money thing, or we don't know if like they were just adamant. Yeah. Sometimes you've got clubs that are just like, we are not selling this player. Bit like, listen, all right, look at it this way.
But if it was the money, then I'll be disappointed.
Look at it this way. Remember when Villa were trying to sign Smith Rowe, right? They offered 35 million. Arsenal said, listen, we don't care how much money you offer. We are not selling Emile Smith Rowe. He's not for sale. So what can you do? I mean, they could offer 100 million. If a player's not for sale.
I'm referencing the body language and the statement given by Steven Gerrard. He did not sound to me like somebody that absolutely at no costs would. Did you see the interview he gave on
but
Sky?
Then it's not down to him. He's the manager.
It's not wholly down to him, but if he says, look, you know, the guy's head's been turned, because let's face it, we know, it was out there that Douglas Luiz had let it be known to the Villa hierarchy that he would welcome the move to Arsenal. So I think the way Gerrard was saying, listen, we want him to stay. but ultimately it's down to him and his agent. So then you start thinking to yourself, well, if Arsenal had really committed themselves to the project and said, okay, you know what, we pay over the odds, but we want the player. You get what you want, and then we're not having this conversation about.
All right, let's get into a couple of super chats here. Dr. Viraj says, "Hey Robbie, hope you're good. I'm disappointed with the lack of depth in our midfield. I'm worried all the good start that we've had will be undone because of the lack of quality personnel out there." Louis Evans, says, "Of course, when it looks very likely that we're going to beat Man United, something like this happens." Michael Ramsey says, "You're talking trash. Liverpool backup keeper is very good. Liverpool 8 missing. Rubbish. Hendo, Jones, Keita and Milner. Stop talking trash." Well, listen, you said they're not missing it. Jordan Henderson's considered by many Liverpool fans, well, he may not be having greatest of games at the moment, but he's a very important player.
He is, yeah. Without a doubt.
I've heard Liverpool fans in the past saying that he's like the most important player in that team. Charlie,
that role in midfield is a very underrated.
and he's a leader of the team.
Yeah.
Charlie says the fan base is full of flip flops. Oh gosh,
I'm not flip flopping.
No one's flip flopping.
Let me ask you a question.
Hold on, let me get through a few more of these. Vibe says, Robbie, thank you for all the transfer daily shows. Thank you very much for your support, Vibes. Duckin says, we didn't sign anyone on deadline day. So what? Let's move on, be positive, and get behind the team and Arteta. Bring on United. Come on, you Gunners. Love that. Francis says, even a baby knew that we needed a CM before El Neni was out. Mercedes F1 fan says, Arsenal to win against United easy. I hope you're right. Sagar says, let's beat United on Sunday, guys. Trust the process. Much love to AFTV from New Jersey. Big up to you. Pratim says, given Partey's injuries, can he still be a star? He's starting to move into doubt now with the amount of injuries he's picking up. Owen Campbell says, I've known for a few years now Robbie is 2 shades less of deluded than Ty. Laurie is 100% correct. It's a crisis and they've failed. And we never learn and we will get punished for it. It's so frustrating. And Sports Analysis says 5 wins from 5 and fans say Arteta out. Fickle fans. 100% agree with that. Sorry, you was going to say? Yeah,
I'm interested to know what way round you would prefer it. So you have the situation that you have with injuries to midfield, an area, by the way, which already been highlighted that needed strengthened, right? So we've not strengthened, and you're taking the position is we tried to get Douglas Luiz and 1 or 2 others. It didn't quite work out.
In 72 hours. In under 72 hours.
Okay, in under 72 hours. But, let's face it, other clubs had the same situation. But anyway, we tried and we didn't get him, okay? And you're saying there's no need to panic buy him. But on the other hand, what if you do go in and get somebody and you're able to cover that position until the injuries, until those guys are fit again? And
if that player's available. So if you had, like, I think I saw Chelsea go and get that Dennis Zakaria, and that might have been a good signing for Arsenal, but Chelsea already got in there to take him on loan. But if no one's available, who's available?
No, but in other words, what I'm saying, you're only going to know if it's a panic buy if it doesn't work out. Sometimes you have to gamble.
If you buy a player, you're not going to buy, unless the player's about 38 years of age, right? You're not going to get him on a 1-year deal, are you?
No.
You're going to have to sign a player on a 3-year deal. You have to pay him wages. He's going to have to be part of your team, part of your squad. Right, that's what Arteta's saying. He's got to suit the profile of what we're trying to do, everything like that. If not, I'm not buying him. We've done enough of that over the years. We've seen so many players that have come into Arsenal that just do not fit the profile of what he's trying to do. And he's trying to avoid doing that in the future. So on the one hand, I commend that. I get what you're saying. It's we need a defensive midfielder.
If it doesn't work out, the naysayers who had a pop at him last year for not strengthening the team when they felt he should have done, it's all going to come flooding back again.
Hold on. I was one of those naysayers, but on this particular case,
right,
I'm giving him a pass, right? Because I feel that it's a different circumstance. Time was against him to try and bring in a defensive midfielder. They tried to get Danilo. They tried to get Douglas Luiz. They couldn't get them. And now they just had to say, right, we're going to go with Lokonga.
I seem to remember the manager.
Whereas, you know, January, when they had all January to bring a striker in, that was different.
But can you remember what he said last January when he was asked about the striking situation? He said, quote unquote, no, because I've got Eddie and I'm happy with our striking options.
Yeah.
And that was clearly a misnomer, wasn't
that was a mistake.
Exactly. So what a lot of people will, quite rightly,
but
they
this
will
is
be
different.
feeling, is this deja vu?
This is different. I've seen Manchester United.
Is this deja vu,
Yeah,
Robbie?
but look, Laurie, you've got people got.
Given that you yourself said it was a crisis.
Yeah, but people have got to understand the transfer markets, right? So, listen, I see Manchester United. They spend a whole summer literally after a defensive midfielder in Frankie De Jong, and they still didn't get him. They had to really go and panic buy and go and get Casemiro, a 30-odd year.
Can't panic buy?
It's a panic.
Quality player.
Casemiro is a quality. Listen, Casemiro.
I wouldn't call that panic.
Listen, when you compare De Jong and Casemiro is an absolute quality player, decorated player, won 4 Champions Leagues, brilliant player. But he's 30. He's not the player that they were after. It's a panic. That's a player that they were like, oh, right, we can't get him. Let's go and get him. Right? The player they wanted.
It's a panic.
The player they wanted.
First choice.
The player that Ten Hag wanted was Frankie De Jong. They chased him all summer. They threw money at it, money, and he just kept getting rejected and rejected and rejected. Where is he now? He's still at Barcelona. It's not always as easy as you think. It's not always as easy as just like money on the table, player comes.
No, I hear that, but I don't know. It could be semantics, but not having your first choice is not necessarily a panic buy. I guess is the point.
This guy here says Casemiro's better than De Jong. He is. But De Jong, like you said, ceiling-wise, he's a young player. Casemiro, you know, we know he's coming towards the end of his career, isn't he?
Yeah.
And, you know, he wouldn't have left Real Madrid if he had been offered £300,000 a week by Manchester United, right? And a 3-year deal at the age of nearly 31. So, you know,
I guess only time will tell, and results will prevail. That will be the narrative that people use going forward. We didn't get the results, so.
Yeah, Crispy says very simplistic view of transfers, Laurie. They're not simple, especially when dealing with a club whose manager is under threat. Don't matter what Steven Gerrard says. The Villa board will overrule if they don't agree. Very true. They're the ones who own the player. Lewis Evans says after this, the World Cup being in November might help us bear through to the January transfer market. Then we can make the necessary signings. That could also compound it because
opportunity may have been lost.
There's a lot of games to come between now and then. AA says, why you let Liverpool get Arthur Melo? Good backup. Arthur Melo's not a defensive midfielder. Arthur Melo, listen, Arthur Melo's a decent player. We bought in Fabio Vieira, remember?
I don't think it's just a defensive midfielder that needed strengthening. That whole midfield area could have done with a re-up. And what I'm saying is, if you'd have got Tielemans in, you could have rejigged and get somebody else to play it. I know what you're saying about a specialist DM, but you could have rejigged the midfield, tweaked it a little bit, which managers often do. But listen, man, I couldn't help but feel a palpable sense of disappointment that we didn't bring somebody in. I take your point.
Me too.
I take your point that the club appeared to have gone after Luiz. But what I'm saying, if I later find out that it was because they didn't want to up the ante by a few £1,000,000, then I'm sorry, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, it's not looking like it, because if you see the statements,
we'll never know. I guess
see the statements from Villa all day long. They just kept saying, "Listen, he ain't for sale." They were like, even from early, they were adamant. Listen, he ain't going nowhere. They kept saying that he's not going. He's not for sale. People were reporting it. They were saying he's not for sale, but maybe if Arsenal go back in with and they did.
But Leicester said the same thing about Fofana, and now he's a Chelsea player.
Yeah, but how long did that take to get done?
Yeah,
how long did that drag on for? How many weeks?
You know what? Sometimes there's nothing like a few more £1,000,000 to let these clubs change their mind.
We're talking about something that's dragged on over a day, right? And you're talking about the Fofana thing that dragged on over weeks.
Yeah, but we all knew Fofana was going to Chelsea. You did, I did, Fofana did.
It dragged on
Leicester
for weeks.
did.
Even the deal for Aubameyang to Chelsea dragged on for what, about a month?
Yeah, but that's because there was that time for him. But what I'm saying is...
So that's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is, Robbie, let's be honest. When Chelsea looked like they were serious over getting Fofana. We all knew that Fofana was going to be. It was just a question of when the deal gets done. Sometimes there's nothing like a few million quid to let the hierarchy change their mind about a player. You know what I mean?
All right, listen, want to see more likes on the video. 6,500 of you watching this live. Want to see some more likes. Get it up to 1,000, as Turkish always says.
Smash the like button.
Donald Walker says, we just have to give our players that we've got the support they need. Remember, they're just like me and you. And I know they watch AFTV. I'm a long fan of your show. Please keep it positive, Arsenal fans. Chris Fraser says, Glittish was available on a free, solid DM. We waited till deadline day. Now we're paying for it. Games for Survival says, Casemiro is 30. He's not at the end of his career. I think it's quite widely recognised that when you reach 30, you're starting to draw down. Not finished.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Casemiro's finished, but... You know, you're starting you're coming to the twilight, should I say,
you're not in your
of your
peak.
career.
You're not at your peak.
Shadow Ostrich says, surely Zinchenko can drop into DM2 if he's fit, but he's not fit.
This is what I was talking about. Tweaks.
He's out of the game. Abby says, not being a pessimist, but 17 games. Packed schedule before the November World Cup. 9 games in October. We're walking on thin ice. Let's hope that we get a lot of those injuries back by then. Michael Ramsey says, Robbie, you are an Arteta yes man. Sometimes I get accused of being an Arteta yes man. Next time I get accused of being an against Arteta, bloody, you can't win, man. I'm just giving my opinion on it. And I give my opinion honestly. And I'm as disappointed as anybody that we didn't get a defensive midfielder in. But it's not as easy as just turning around
I get that, but
when situation arises and just saying, right, we want a DM, here's the money, give us him. It don't work. Look at some of the transfer business that's been going on throughout this transfer window. Long sagas of players that were linked to teams and it didn't happen. It's not as easy as you think sometimes.
Yeah. But Robbie, I think it's also fair to say that we've known for some time now that midfielder area. I've been hearing fans talk about that from the start of the season, haven't you?
How much cover do you need?
Hang on. Haven't you heard people say, yeah, with things are going
do with
great,
another midfielder.
but we could do with another midfielder.
Could do with another midfielder.
So why do you wait until 2 days before the day before?
But the specific position we were looking for in the last couple of days, a defensive midfielder.
That's the most urgent now.
Mikel Arteta thought he had that covered with Partey and El Neni. They're both injured. El Neni's a long-term one. Partey is injured, and we know he's an on and off guy. How many positions? Normally in every team, even teams like Man City, you have like 2 top players in each position is what everybody considers. So what's Arteta supposed to go out and get 4? And then when those two or the other one's sitting on the bench,
I think
wondering where his next game going to come from.
There's been a common theme amongst the fans that we needed to strengthen that midfield long before these injuries happened. What I'm saying is there was presumably opportunities to strengthen before. I mean, look how long we were chasing Tielemans and we kept having conversations. Is it happening? Is it not happening? And then all of a sudden it didn't happen.
I was the one talking about Tielemans all summer. And listen, I was like, makes sense to bring him in, get him in. But Tielemans, you know, I would have liked to have seen him sign. He's not a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, but what I'm saying,
he would not have solved the problem in that area.
Yeah, but Robbie, they could have tweaked things like you've seen they're doing at the moment, but we're still bringing in another quality midfielder in an area that we need strengthening. And what I'm saying is, if you look at what happened last season, sometimes when things happen in life, you have to learn from those situations. A precedent was set last season where we did not strengthen. We let Aubameyang go. We didn't strengthen in that area. We listened to the manager. He spun that narrative. No, don't worry. I've thought it through.
That was definitely a mistake.
And that was a mistake. So what I'm saying is, having made that mistake in January, don't make it again now.
This one's different because it's, as I said, because of the time frame and the fact that, I mean, they had to act fast, literally on deadline day. That's what makes it different. Usora Umar says Chelsea were able to get Fofana because he pushed for it. Douglas Luiz didn't push for the transfer like Fofana did. I think if the Douglas Luiz one would have been a protracted thing over a couple of weeks, he'd be an Arsenal player right now.
Could well have been.
But the time frame, you know it's like it's been.
I'll give you that. It was a short time frame. However, I think if Arsenal made a concerted effort and backed it with the money, I think Villa would have given in and said, "Yeah, look, the player's unsettled. We get," because the way Villa are going to look at it, like, because don't forget, Douglas Luiz has not featured in all of Villa's games. Even the other day when we played them, he came on as a substitute. So there's clearly something going on there. So if you rock up to Villa,
I don't understand.
If you rock up to Villa and you give them what they would consider an offer they can't refuse, they're probably going to take it because they're going to think, well, listen, the player's unsettled. We'll take the money, and then in January we can get somebody in for him. And all sides win.
Yeah, but the thing is about it is that I can't understand Villa's thinking around this. I really can't, because
money talks.
The only thing is if you see over the next weeks, months, that Douglas Luiz signs a brand new long-term contract with Aston Villa worth 100 grand a week or whatever.
I bet you don't see that.
Then I understand it. If January comes and he hasn't signed a new deal, then whoever decided to hold on to him probably should be out of a job.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
because forget getting 25 million for him. They'd be lucky to get 10 million for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that is why I
it seems daft to me. It seems really daft for a player that doesn't play every week.
Exactly. So he's not playing every week, right? By any stretch of the imagination. So that says straight away to me that he's not somebody that's indispensable to Villa.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So if you go in there and you say, look, we'll give you first bid 25, hell no. Second bid 30. I'll tell you what, we want him, here's 35, 38, whatever. I bet you any money Villa would have taken.
Yeah, maybe.
Because the player's unsettled and he's not playing every week anyway.
You're saying pay way overpriced.
Sometimes you've got to pay a bit more to get what you want. We've all been there.
No, not a bit more. You're saying his valuation when I looked on... what was his valuation?
And what is the valuation to us dropping out the Champions League?
Yeah.
You can't... You know what I mean? That's how you got to look at it. You know what I mean?
Well, you can panic as well. You can panic. You can make
He clearly wouldn't have been a panic buy if you tried to buy him 3 different times in the space of a few days. I don't see that as a panic buy.
Anyway, let me do a few more comments there. Makram says, I said it yesterday, I'm seeing too much negativity today. If we made our signings on deadline day, all of a sudden, what we would all be happy. Let's be positive. We've made some great signings early. You know what, I heard Makram say that yesterday. I thought that was a great point, that had we made, yesterday we made Jesus Zinchenko, everyone would be like, great window.
But to be fair, who's that guy? Makram. To be fair, Makram, I think you'll find that the vast majority of the fans, myself included, did give the Arsenal...
This guy here, Shax.
A lot of press.
This guy here, Shax, he says, Edu out. Bruv, it's time to go, but Arteta in.
No, that's
madness.
Yeah, that's madness.
You know what I mean? That's mad. There was a thing. There was a thing on Twitter yesterday. A hashtag Edu out. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I heard it was trending.
After the great work that guy's done this window. All right, he's not finished it off properly, but come on, man, he's made some. Jesus. 45 million, fantastic signing. Zinchenko, fantastic signing. Fabio Vieira. I think honestly, that guy makes a great point. People are reacting because on the last day we didn't get one of the targets that we were after.
I think you'll find that a lot of people expressing their disappointment because they've got a worrying sense of deja vu. They're thinking back to January and how much it cost us not covering that striking option. And it come back, let's face it, I don't care not what you say, but I don't... Listen, forget all that. It was a mistake. We didn't cover that striking option and it cost us.
NI says, great point here by NI. He says, Luiz wasn't a first choice, so they didn't go above and beyond to get him even in a crisis. Buendia and Odegaard's situation is an example of that too. I remember when a lot of Arsenal fans were, get Buendia, right? They waited, they got in Odegaard, and listen, we're not complaining about it now. By the way, on the Odegaard thing, that is one thing I'm sweating on, that he's going to be fit for the game on Sunday. As I said right at the top of the show,
I wouldn't mind betting that he'll be fit. And the reason why I say that is because when you saw him come off, he had the ankle straight away. It was heavily strapped and iced. And I know with the modern
Well,
technology...
he hasn't trained.
Yeah, but that's
as I said,
precautionary.
Arteta speaking at his press conference, he says those two, he meant Ramsdale and Odegaard, are being assessed. We will see tomorrow. Hopefully they will be able to train, not play, train with the team. So, and unfortunately with Zinchenko, that is still not the case. He missed 2 games and he's not able to train with the team yet. So I think, listen, I think they will be fit.
Odegaard will play.
Odegaard's a very important player.
Ramsdale, I'm a bit more worried about because, like I said, soft tissue injuries do tend to take longer to recover from.
Chris P, by the way, has got a question for you with a super chat. He says, for you, Laurie, he goes, where's the cut-off for a player with less than a year left on his contract then? Is it 30 million, 40, 50 million? Where does it end?
I would answer simply by saying this.
What would you...
No, I would answer simply by saying this. Sometimes... Not just in football, in life, you have to end up paying more for what you want.
All right, so if I'm let me ask you this, right? So I'm Aston Villa, you're Arsenal, you're Edu, and I turn around to say 50 million is yours. You paying it?
Yes. If that's a player that you want.
Douglas Luiz, with 1 year left on his contract, you pay £50 million with 1 year left on his contract.
Well, I mean, 50 might be a bit much.
Remember, teams have to adhere, despite what people out there might think, and I might think, teams have to adhere to financial fair play and all things like that. You're going to pay £50 million for a defensive midfielder with 1 year left on his contract.
What did we offer for him?
25.
Right, okay, so 50 is probably a bit.
Was the third bid.
Right, but what I'm saying is, okay, I think Arsenal, and you know, they will probably tell you that they did. They should have gone as high as they could possibly done.
That was probably their highest, 25.
No, that was probably what they were prepared to. What I'm saying is sometimes in life you have to go over and above.
40 million?
If I don't know, the late 30s, 40 maybe. You got it. If you want the guy that bad, and you said yourself, you called it a crisis. So you're spending money to address a crisis.
No, I said if Odegaard and Ramsdale are out, then we're looking at an injury crisis at the moment because so many key players are out. It's not a crisis yet, but if those guys are out, it's a crisis, yeah. Monk Zukic says 25 million for him when he has 1 year left is already too much. If he comes in and plays pants, it'll be Arteta's fault. Catch 22 for the manager. Arjan says Robbie is literally right. Blue Pill says Robbie is making mad excuses. So there you have it right there. Both ends of the spectrum.
You know what? Ultimately, it's all going to depend on results, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to look back in 4-6 weeks' time, and if the results do maintain this same level of progress, we're going to say, yeah, you know what? He got that one right. Unfortunately, if the results don't go our way and we falter somewhat, or even falter a lot, then people are going to look back at what happened yesterday and say, look, this was where the die was cast. He should have strengthened the squad. So ultimately, that is what's going to determine. Yeah.
Sick Gaming says panic by Arteta taking Arsenal to the next level. Sick Gaming. Oh, I don't understand that. Zyraf says, big up AFTV. I don't want Arsenal to have the reputation that we'll overpay for players. For example, if you're a club selling to United, you charge much more. Laurie, talking to United, how you feeling? You know, the game's on Sunday. Man United away. It's not a place that we normally very happy hunting ground for us. Got beat there last year. They've won their last 3 games. We've won all 5 of our games. Can we go there and get a win? You confident we can?
Yeah, I think we can go there and get a result. I must say, up until 2 days ago, I was more optimistic than I am now. However, I still think that we have enough players, good players in the team to go there and get a result. We know that United, they started off terribly. I, for one, and I'm pretty sure you did as well, didn't think that that would be the case when we played them. I knew they would improve. They have. They won their last 3. They're at home. Their confidence levels have risen.
Beat Liverpool at home as well.
Beat Liverpool at home. They were very good in that game, actually. They haven't quite hit those levels after that. But listen, they are a formidable opponent at the best of times. And it just so happens that we're playing them this weekend and they're actually on a little bit of a run of form. So it is going to be an incredibly difficult game. And in many ways, this will tell us a lot about where we are. Because although we've made a fantastic start, and a lot of people are saying we're looking good, which we are. There has been that kind of underlying theme is, yeah, but Arsenal haven't really played anyone yet. They've not truly been tested. I guess we're going to find out on Sunday.
Okay. Jason, by the way, says we let Ainsley Maitland-Niles leave with all these injuries. Why? Because he's not a defensive midfielder.
He's not a defensive midfielder. Plus, I think it's mutually beneficial to let the player go. He wasn't getting first-team football. And, you know, off the books.
Going back to that, I'm if Martin Odegaard and Ramsdale are fit, which I think they will be, fingers crossed, I think we can go out there and beat them. I want Arsenal to go up there with the same mentality that they've been showing so far this season, which is we're going to go out there, we're going to play our football up there, and I think we can beat Man United. It's not going to be easy. Man United, listen, you know, it doesn't matter how rubbish they're playing, they turn up for these games. I've seen them absolutely on their knees and still beat us. I've seen them looking poor and they beat Man City at home. Beat even Man City away when they've been poor. I've seen them, you know, the other day they were looking horrible after that Brentford beat Liverpool. So it's a big test for Arsenal, but wow, would it be massive if we go up there, put in a performance and get a result against Man United. I think a lot of eyebrows will be raised and people will be like, hey, hold on a minute.
Well, let
this
me
is
ask
a team to be taken seriously.
Let me ask you a question now, and this is a conversation I've been having with quite a few Arsenal fans. Given United's current upsurge in form, the fact that Arsenal suffering a few injuries as we go into this game, would you take a draw?
I don't want to draw. I want to win.
No, I didn't say you didn't what you want. No, I said, would you take?
Not taking a draw.
You don't want to take a draw. So it's win or bust.
I don't want to take a draw. I want to win that game.
Win or bust.
Listen,
win or bust.
Listen, my mindset, and I hope this is the mindset of the Arsenal players. We're going up to Manchester United to win the game. Not we're going up to Man United, but we take a point. When you go up with attitude, straight away I feel like, you know, that's when you're going to end up coming up proper.
I hear that.
That's what we've done over the years. I want a new attitude with it, and I think we've been seeing that with the mentality of these players.
Even though you're going in under strength.
Even though we're going in with a couple of injuries, we still got a good enough team. We've won 5 games in a row. We're top of the league. Go to Old Trafford and say, right, you know what, we've seen how they've been playing. We know that they're not firing on all cylinders. We are going to win the game and show the rest of the Premier League that this is a serious Arsenal team and is a serious proposition to get into the top 4. Go there to win. I'm not in no take no point. I don't want to take no point. I want to win the game.
We will fight them on the land. We will fight them on the beaches.
Listen,
we will fight them on the seas. Very Churchillian.
Listen, we're not
very novel.
We're
but
not,
is it realistic, Robbie?
Yeah, of course it's realistic. We've won every game so far. Of course it's realistic, right? And I'm saying this, right? When you see teams like, listen, we're not at the level of Man City yet, and we're not at the level of Liverpool yet. But when Liverpool and Man City, and I know Liverpool lost there the other day, but when Liverpool went there, you think they're going there saying we'll take a point?
No, that's true.
If they leave there with a point, they're disappointed. That's what I want our mindset.
You see, that's where me and you differ.
I want our mindset to get to that level.
That's where me and you differ. I agreed with the first part. You go in there and your mentality is to win. But where I disagree with you is that, for me personally, if we come out of Sunday going into that game with the problems that we've experiencing at the moment, and it could even well be worse. If we come away from Old Trafford with a draw, as far as I'm concerned, that's a very creditable draw. Unless, of course, if we were like 2-3-0 up and then we surrender the lead, win 5 minutes where we just, you know what I mean, implode, then that's different. But if we go there and get a hard-fought draw, I'll be...
Listen, I would not disrespect the team. Well, obviously I wouldn't if we got a draw. Right? To go to Old Trafford and get a draw is commendable, right? You have to put respect on that name. I said it earlier in one of you're going to see the superfan debates and some of the previews that we've done over the weekend, right? I said it then. You've got to respect Manchester United. They've got the greatest player probably who's ever played the game on their bench. They've got Casemiro. They bought in this Anthony, 86 million. They've got Sancho, Rashford. They've got quality players
all through the squad,
right throughout the team. Varane, Lisandro Martinez, I'm not disrespecting them. But we're on top of the league right now. We're playing great football since pre-season. We're a great side as well. Go up there to Old Trafford and win the game. And
You know what it is?
We're coming to win. Man City
don't
come to the Emirates saying we'll take a draw. They come there saying we're coming to win.
What I'm saying is, I commend your positivity. And that mentality that you spoke of, a winning mentality, is absolutely the way to be. However, where me and you disagree is, you said that if you get their point, you'd be disappointed. And I'm saying, listen, if we get a point, I'll take that back to London and I'll feel good. I'll enjoy the rest of my weekend.
Go and see them.
Is that going to spoil your weekend if we get a point?
If they'd have got
Tell
a point.
the truth.
No, listen, of course it won't.
Okay.
Of course it won't. But my mindset is, I want 3 points. And I don't think I'm being greedy ever. I think we're being greedy. I think we've got a better team than them. Just like we did last year and we lost the game. That's why...
We may have a better team than them, but I don't think we've got a better squad than them, if I'm being realistic.
Because again, if we make mistakes, we lose the game because they've got quality. So you make stupid mistakes against Man United, like what we did last year. They got Ronaldo, they got Bruno Fernandes. We'll lose. Go up there, bring the A game. We will win. I see how Man United have been playing. I've seen how we're playing, the patterns of play, everything like that. We can win that game. Let's go and get 3 points. No take a point. But I take your point on taking a point. Listen,
we're both right. Innit? You're right, like you said. You go out there, you try and do your best to win it. Where we disagree slightly is that you said you'd be disappointed with a point, whereas I'm saying I will take a point all day long because we will keep our unbeaten record, still probably be top of the league, or if not just off it, and we go again the following week.
I want 3 points, man.
So
I'll take a point at Man City. But Old Trafford, all 3. A says Arsenal at Old Trafford is equal to Spurs at Stamford Bridge, he says, right, which is they never seem to win there. But we're going to change that. And we did win there a couple of seasons ago, even though there was no fans. Listen, thanks for watching the show today. Our hour is up. It is absolutely flown past. Really appreciate all of the messages. We've got one more actually coming in from Shreff's, a real regular on the show. So I want to read it. He says, we almost made top 4 with bums. Now we've gone 5 up bums.
That's a bit harsh.
He says, now we've gone 5 unbeaten and signed guys with Premier League winners. From the Premier League winners. Who says we can't beat United? We will win as we will win ugly. Come on, you Gunners. Thanks for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe.
I'll take that as well, by the way.
Yeah. Check out all of our content over the weekend. We've got a super fan debate where we teamed up with United View to really hammer out some points. We've been absolutely brilliant. Stricto and Goonali representing Arsenal in that one as well. We got a preview coming out to the game. Box to Box, which was a brilliant one with Turkish as well. Check it all out. And of course, we're going to be up there at Old Trafford. I'll be at the game. Cecil will be at the game as well. We're also going to be in a studio doing a big watch along. Got it covered right here. Make sure you check it out here on AFTV. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.